What's good, y'all? Basically, it's Blood Red. Pretty much just recording this on a late night tip. I think it's like maybe 2:50 something in the morning or some shit like that. I wanted to expand on something I brought up on episode 2 of of this series I've got going on here, where I was talking about the reason why people would choose to use top tier characters versus low tier characters. Honestly, I think it starts from game development, in terms of like the developers not making the fucking game right. You know what I'm saying? It seems like they make these games, they got like 50 fucking characters in them, and then like only 3 of them are utilized on high level play. You know what I'm saying? Because they're blatantly given tools that the other characters don't have. Like, how you gonna create a character, like say Street Fighter, for instance? You have a character matchup like Guile versus Bison, which is arguably one of the worst matchups I've ever seen in my entire fucking existence on this shitty planet of playing fighting games. The fact that he has like the nigga jumps 10 feet in the 10 feet in the air, you can perfectly jump over a sonic boom and still get nothing for it. So therefore, just out of just sheer just player skill, you're gonna lose regardless, unless the Guile player fucks up. That's bad programming right there. Another thing I want to touch on is what Sega does with their virtual. I don't know if they still do it, but Sega, whenever they used to, I think it started an evolution. I mean, I can't be quoted too much on it. I do just know, based on what I've seen from Virtua Fighter 4 and 5, that it seems that once the game was soon to be completed, or where it was in beta testing mode, they brought in a lot of the top level Japanese players to play test the actual game. And I think through that, they were able to actually take a lot of that data and compile it and actually make character like balance issues that were horrible and try to smooth them out before the game is officially released. Now, of course, nobody's perfect, and there's going to be some, little glitchy nonsense aspects of the game that's going to still remain, but at least a good percentage of it is going to be eliminated. When I look at fucking, what is it, Marvel versus Wesker, I mean, that shit is completely blatant. I think that game is one of the most pathetic excuses for a fighting game I've ever seen in my entire life. It's colorful, it's nice. I like the fact that you can use a wide array of characters. But based on what I'm seeing, and especially on the tournament scene, where 90% of the time people winning majors, they all have Wesker on their team. I don't even play the fucking game, and I think I I have to pat myself on the back for not going through that bullshit. It's just crazy that I can watch on live stream somebody that's being completely outplayed, and then all of a sudden just mash on all 4 buttons, get an X Factor, and they win. Like, fuck Marvel vs. Capcom 3. As far as Tekken goes, like I said before, the characters who generally have the most priority, the characters that can launch you with scrubby, safe launchers that can take you from one end of the screen to the next, you're probably going to lose 70 damage on that once you hit the wall, because Namco, for some odd fucking reason, they took out the wall tech, so now you're going to get pummeled on the wall. It's ridiculous. It's like all the damage is going to compound, and I know for a fact that Tekken Tag 2 is going to be no different. I'm just curious about it because I know it's going to look better. I'm looking forward to the new music, some of the new characters. I'm looking forward to the new tweaks, rebalance issues. Hopefully it's not completely broken, and that's all I got to say about Tekken. As far as Soul Calibur, I know Soul Calibur 5 is due out January 31st, according to, I think, Namco. Hopefully they don't change it. I always felt that Soul Calibur was actually a better polished game. Of course, a lot of people from the Tekken community will probably argue that, but hey, the facts are the facts. Soul Calibur gives you far more defensive options than Tekken ever has. The couple of defensive options that Tekken did offer you, they took it away, which made no sense. So you get launched, you might as well kiss your life bar goodbye, depending on the character who launched you, which is what comes down to who's top tier in Tekken and who's not. One other comment I remember reading, and I also thank you guys for all your comments and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? All the haters, the fans, I love you all. You know what I mean? Lets me know that I'm doing my fucking job. Now, when I look at, say, there was one comment one guy mentioned, I think it was on Facebook or YouTube. He said, well, fighting GM uses a mid-tier character, so explain why he wins. Well, I can explain perfectly because one, I partially trained him along with my friend Sanford Kelly. So between the two of us, we shared a lot of our knowledge with him years ago. And he took that and molded it to where he took what was good and he added his own little style. And given the fact that his character Lee hasn't really gone through that many changes in terms of pokes, like the basic standard attacks, he's able to still implement those same techniques, which is why when I see a lot of match vids of him, I'm like, oh wow, like I see he's still doing that. Like it actually makes me proud because I feel like I showed him some good shit, me and Sanford, and he's one of the best Tekken players out here, period. Nobody can deny that. As far as his character being mid-tier, Lee is mid-tier until he launches you. Let's put it this way. Lee can easily take just about any character full screen, almost, on most stages. And once you hit the wall, you have to deal with a lot of excess damage and wake-up options. I mean, some characters in Tekken don't even have that. So with that, I would congratulate Fighting GM, my friend Fab, and a lot of the other Tekken players that I don't have time enough to mention, Spirogen, even Fernando, you know, who won this WCG. He won a WCG tournament. I think he took, what was it, second place. So, you know, a lot of my friends do very well in Tekken. But I just wish that people understood that when you go into a tournament, there's nothing wrong with using a low tier character. Just to touch base on this, nothing wrong with using a low tier character. But if you go into a tournament setting, you have to understand that chances are you're probably not going to win. And I think if you, the low tier player, knows this, then I think, you know, maybe that works for you. I mean, now 2012, be very honest, I'm tired of the struggling shit. I feel like just using the cheapest shit and just winning. Because I feel like at the end of the day, you know, with you getting all the props I've gotten for using Lei over the years, to be very honest, it hasn't really lined my pockets. It hasn't enabled me to win no tournaments. So I think a lot of the tournaments I personally lost, had I used a scrub character like Bob, or Lars, or Steve, I probably would have won a lot of those tournaments. But that's arbitrary. We can't go back in the past. All we can do is change the future. So I would say that to all you guys using low tier or even mid tier characters, my suggestion is this. If you play the game, you play the game for love. You play it because you love the game. But when you go to a tournament, think of it as a job. You're there to get money. Now, if you just want to test your skill, that's good shit. But for those players that's going into a tournament to win, you're not going to go into a setting like that using a character that does not have all the tools necessary from game design on a game design level that's going to help you win. Like if your character doesn't have, like in Street Fighter, if your character doesn't have a fucking anti-air, good specials, good normals, good command grab, if you don't have all that, your character's going to struggle. You know what I'm saying? So otherwise, like in Bison's case, for Street Fighter and Bison, you know, you're going to have a lot of players who are going to jump in on you. Now, had you had a DP or a Dragon Punch, you probably knocked them out of there every time. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is this, that pick a character that can cover your weaknesses. So you as a player will not be faulted by or limited by your character. I feel that a lot of players out there that have lost a tournament, they're solid players, but it's their character that holds them back. And I'm definitely one of them. And I know some of you out there are too. So there's nothing wrong. We go on record saying there's nothing wrong with using these characters that you love. I'm definitely all for it. I've been using Lei for 10 plus years. But I think, yo, if you want to have money matches on the side, use your favorite characters, cool. But when it comes down for tournament, gotta use the shit that works, yo. Otherwise, you're gonna stay eating that fucking 6th place, 8th place with a pat on your fucking back and saying good games, while a nigga that you probably could have beat got 1st place and got the money, which is complete bullshit. Because 9 times out of 10, you probably saying to yourself, "Damn, this nigga's ass. I probably could have beat him if you picked a better character." know it's frustrating, but sometimes you guys have to come to a realization and understand that you play the game because of the love of the game, but sometimes when you gotta win, you gotta use what wins. Anyway, that's Arthur Hill, episode 5, signing off. If you like me, leave me some comments. Subscribe to my YouTube, Bloody Bison 9680. Peace.